Hey, Discernment listeners, sister wives. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Since this is a psychology, by the way, I've been switching my whole setup. I do a standing desk now, and it has washed out that logo. You can't really see it anymore. Maybe I should get Stacy to do something in Photoshop. I don't know. But I want to tell you that this is a psychology YouTube channel, so we might get into some triggering material. So take care as you watch. Maybe don't watch if I start to get into material that might trigger you, your PTSD. You always want to take care of yourself, and let's watch.
I don't feel like I have the family community like we had in Las Vegas. I also don't have friends here. So I don't have a community here.
I've realized, I think our family started feeling different the minute we moved to Vegas and we were more separated.
Okay, so can I address the pink elephant I think that's in the room? Are you guys trying to say this is because of me coming into the family?
No.
Okay, so I think that's totally rational that Robyn would wonder and maybe even kind of assume that this is all a veiled criticism of her. That is not what I'm hearing. So I think it's quite possible that that is not what they're saying. I don't think that's what Janelle is saying. And they've identified a lot of factors. And Robyn doesn't know what it was like when they were all in the same house, So the way that they're describing it, and it's hard to know what really was happening because they're describing Lehigh as the ideal place for them as a family. But it's possible that they've just rewritten history. What they're saying about Lehigh is that they were closer, but it was because they had to be closer, not because they wanted to be closer. Because they were just going off of faith that the dogma in their religion was the right way to live, when maybe it wasn't. So I say all that because it's possible that actually what was happening in the past was positive, but since so much distance and conflict has occurred in the intervening years, which is about 10 years-ish or something at this point, in Vegas, that they've rewritten history. This happens. In fact, one of the findings by John Gottman, if there's a drinking game, John Gottman would be one of the things. One time, I look over here because on my office door, someone sent in a bingo card, which is kind of like a drinking game, right? And of various things that I will talk about, every time I say yikes or something. And anyway, so my point is that with John Gottman, what they found, and colleagues, they researched couples, and what they found was that when they talked to couples over several years, once the relationship had taken a turn and divorce and breaking up was seemingly highly likely or inevitable, the individuals will have rewritten history. And what they would observe was when the relationship was going relatively well, or at least not horrible, when you asked the couple about how they fell in love or how they met, the way they told the story was positive. Or when you asked the individuals, why did you fall in love with this person? The answer was in the positive, I fell in love because, even if you're going through tough times, you remember why you fell in love. You might not even feel like those things are present anymore, but you don't resent your partner yet. You don't want to leave your partner yet. So you remember the good times. Whereas once a couple has turned the corner or an individual has turned a corner, but they don't even necessarily know it yet, and you ask them that question, like, how did you fall in love or how did you meet? They will often say things like, I actually don't remember, or they'll frame it as, well, I was young and stupid, or, well, I need it, and that's kind of what they're doing. They're saying, well, the reason why we're in this marriage is because it was told to us by the religion, and I don't think that was right for us to do. And so that could either be evidence that it was never there, or it was there, but a lot of things have happened in the interim, and a lot of distance and maybe resentment. Because the thing I am reminding myself is that Mary, in a way, you could see, and I don't think it's hard to not, I think it's pretty easy to look at it this way. Mary absolutely cheated on Cody and on the entire family. Because that's the idea, right? That They're not just married to Cody, they're married to each other. They're in a family. And certainly Mariah saw it that way. Mariah was hurt, even though Mary didn't cheat on Mariah, but Mariah was hurt by it. That's the way family will feel in situations like this, and of course Cody would. So that has seemingly not repaired. And the way it looks like Cody and Mary both didn't put enough effort or didn't want to. Also, I think a lot of damage had happened even before it had come out that Mary was involved with this other fictional man, and that Cody had felt hurt and drifted away, you know. He said a number of things that are in the direction of him saying, look, if the sister wives are into the whole thing, then I'm all in. But if they're not, then I can't divorce them because of the religion, but I'm not going to, beat my head up against the wall. So now one could argue that that's not the right way to approach the matter. It's also possible that he is just too insecure, or that he's observing distance where there isn't actual distance, and so he's just like, I'm out because he wants to, I don't know.
And I think that's in the room. Are you guys trying to say this is because of me coming into the family?
No. Oh, no.
Mm-mm. I'm sorry if you think that's a pink elephant.
I was wondering that too. I wasn't hearing that, in terms of what Rob. So the other possibility is Robyn is just too self-centered or something. But I don't know. I could see anyone feeling like what she's feeling when they're talking about how things were so great in the past, and they're not, at this moment when we moved to Vegas, things got bad. Well, that's when Robyn entered the family. So, you could see her. She has a bit of a sour face. So I don't know if she's like jumping to conclusions and getting sour and angry. But we saw Janelle's like, oh, no, this doesn't have anything to do with you. And Christine also showed, she's like, oh, no, that's not the elephant in the room. That's not what we're talking about. So it's clear that that's not what they're saying, because it certainly didn't seem like that. But, it could have been. There's another possibility that is a factor that they think about and are just not ready to divulge that yet, even though there's a lot of other factors at play. And it wouldn't be irrational to think that, right? Because not because of Robyn, but because, one, you just have another sister wife that's causing more chaos and more competition for Cody. But also, as I've been talking about, it's normal, it's well understood in the polyamorous community that with new relationship energy, it will eclipse your other relationships. It's well understood in the ethical non-monogamy community that when you have relationships that are long-standing, 10 years, 20 years, and then one person falls in love with a new person, well, that relationship, they call it new relationship energy, it's well understood that relationship is going to do all the things that falling in love does, and might actually result in those long-standing relationships being neglected by that member because they're now oriented towards another person. And this concept of new relationship energy is talked about a lot because it helps the long-standing partners frame the situation. Well, she's involved in new relationship energy right now, so we're going to get the short end of the stick for a while, and that's okay. That happens. It also frames it for the individual who's falling in love. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to spend any of my time with my long-standing relationships. I want to spend all my time with this new person. Does that mean that I shouldn't be polyamorous? And maybe it does mean that, but a question that it adds is like, oh, I'm experiencing new relationship energy. I've talked about this. I've read about it. I've seen it. And it's clouding my judgment. So yeah, I'll spend a lot of time with this new person, but in all likelihood, the new relationship energy will subside over time, as it naturally does. And I don't want to emerge out of that feeling regretting having dumped all these long-standing relationships that I will really want to bolster back to its original state in the future. It also frames it to the recipient of the new relationship energy that they need to frame it in terms of, okay, my partner wants to spend a lot of time with me, but I don't want, and I'm feeling it certainly, but I don't want this new relationship energy to ruin the long-standing relationship. So I need to be careful about how much I'm like pulling this person away, even though that person might want to be pulled away. Now, this doesn't railroad people into doing a particular thing, but it helps to frame it. So I don't think they have that kind of talk. I don't think they have that kind of understanding. They do have some sophistication around jealousy, but they seem to mostly just avoid it. It's like, just don't think about it, which can be a strategy in an ethical non-monogamy world. But anyway, so now the thing though is that at this point, Robyn and Cody have been together for 10 years. So usually, at best, new relationship energy lasts a few years. Typically, it doesn't even last that long. You stay in love, right? The love transforms, deepens, becomes more, becomes less obsessive, less compulsive.
It's in the room right now.
No, oh no. No, Robyn, no.
No, I think it's Vegas is what happened.
No. No, it's not you. No.
That's good. Robyn is pretty good about crying when she's hurt, and it's a good way to signal what's going on, that you're not, I think Robyn, really all of them, maybe not Christine, but Mary and Janelle, I think, get hurt a lot, and I don't think they cry to signal. It's a wonderful way to feel like you're taking care of yourself, but also to signal. And it's great that Janelle is coming over. This is good. This is good.
No, that was not my intention of this conversation. No.
Now, I will note that Mary just kept staring, but the more I get to know Mary, I think she's just not. I think that Mary dissociates, not in the DSM sense, but in the broader psychoanalytic sense, that she distances herself from the situation to cope. So there could be that, or she agrees that, yeah, it is you, Robyn.
You don't have a complete perspective, and I feel so bad. No, oh my God, that was never my intention.
Here's the thing. Why I can see why you would think that is because all that change happened at the same time, but it wasn't because you came in the family.
Okay, so Mary is also saying the same thing, and yeah, maybe they're just saying that. Maybe it's part of the issue, and they don't want to reveal that. I don't know, but if we take them at their word, they're saying no, it's not because of you. It's the circumstances. It would have happened anyway, even if you didn't enter the family and we had moved to Vegas. I think really the thing that they should be talking about is why Cody has to move all the time. And I guess thinking about it, though, they moved because they were worried that the police were coming after them, right? Because they had outed themselves on reality TV that they were even in a polygamous family, and Utah has laws about it. State
came after us and we left, like all within the same year.
This has nothing to do with her coming into the family. We should have been able to absorb her, and I think we could have. That would have been easy. Having a wife come into the family is like a new team member, and I think we would have rubbed up against each other, but we would have eventually found our normal, and it would have looked a lot like what we had.
I think we all started feeling like we were single moms in Vegas.
Okay, so they're all doubling down on that idea and saying, no, it doesn't have anything to do with, we'll see what hopefully Robyn can hear this. I'm worried that she will assume something here.
I remember feeling like a single mom in Vegas, but I thought that was what it was. I thought that's what plural marriage kind of entailed a little bit.
It was the first time I ever really felt like a single mom.
Yeah, me too.
I don't really know what to do with this conversation. I'm realizing I wasn't there and never experienced what it is she's talking about. I don't even know what to say here, and I don't know what to do, and it's really...
I think another factor, and I've talked about this before, that in the beginning of the family, they all had kids that were around the same age. They were all young kids, and even when we first met the family, the oldest kid, Logan, was he like 15 or something? So, it's a much different vibe when you have a bunch of, preschoolers and primary school kids, elementary school kids, than when the majority of their kids now are teens or adults having moved out. It's a very different vibe in the house, and as parents, right? And a lot of parents will go through this, their marriage will go through this, where the kids will either move out, empty nest, or the kids will be pre-empty nest in that they're teens and they just aren't really interested in the family as much anymore. Or they just have a lot of things outside the house that are pulling them away, or even inside the house. Like you can have a kid that stays home often but is online socializing with other people or whatever. And it is a transition for the marriages. They have to adjust, and it can be hard. It can be liberating, and it can be a good adjustment, but it can also put a lot of strain on marriages. And so I think that could be another factor as well. Because I wonder if they lived in the cul-de-sac and all of their kids were 0 to 15, if it would have been different, because they would have a lot more opportunity and need to depend on each other. From my understanding in the past, even though Mary only had one kid, she was called upon often. I remember in the first number of seasons, they all said that Mary was the most level-headed, best parent. She was the one who would step in a crisis, and everyone appreciated that. So that tells me that even though she only had one kid, she was very much there, right? But of course, they were in Lehigh. They're on the same house. But I'm guessing that if they were even in the cul-de-sac, it would have been in that direction.
When Cody was there, it got super stressful. If he was coming over, it was super, super stressful. And that's back how it is now. Again, it's stressful when he's coming over because we only see him like once or twice a week, and he's just there in the evenings, and we don't see him any other time. So when he comes over, he disrupts the entire schedule that we have.
Okay, so similar to earlier in this conversation, for Christine to say that would be potentially hurtful to Cody, even though it might be absolutely true, which we can imagine it is true. So these little hurts can go a long way, even if they're true. And that's one of the things we can use this as a jumping off point. I will talk with couples, and sometimes they will say things that are hurtful to their partners. And there's a lot of different things in this category. And yet nothing is being said that's untrue. And it's just one of those things you have to think about in terms of how you want to deliver something, right? And how you say it. It doesn't mean that you edit it. It doesn't mean that you refrain from telling the truth. It certainly doesn't mean that you lie, but it just means, like, if Christine were to care, and maybe she doesn't, not that she's an uncaring person, but she might be beyond a certain point, about Cody's feelings, she might say something like, "It's really stressful when you come over, Cody, but I still love you and we still appreciate when you come over," or whatever, just a little bit of a thing there. But anyway, my point is that earlier Cody was saying, basically, if he could do it over again, he never would have married all these people. I guess by definition, he's saying he wished he just would have married Mary. And maybe that is true, but it kind of seems like he's saying he wished he never got married to any of these people. And he didn't follow it up with any kind of niceties or any kind of measures to not have it hurt so much. And it did hurt Christine in the one-on-one interview. That's what Christine was indicating anyway. And so now Christine is also doing it. And, sometimes the truth hurts, I guess.
And there's so much to cram into a few hours that it's just stressful. And that's what Vegas felt like.
When I was in Vegas, I would come in and check on the kids, but the complaint about Vegas was that I wasn't settling. And now the thing is I'm disrupting, but I'm settling.
Okay, so I think what he's saying, I don't know if he's referring to the other sister wives. I don't think he is. I think he's referring to Christine in particular, that she would complain that he wouldn't settle, that he would come over and then he was gone, right? It was never the stability, which is inherent to polygamy, right? Or not living in the same house or something. I don't know. And so he's commenting on that, and now he's saying, oh, there's an inconsistency there because now you're saying that it was disruptive. Which one is it? Well, both can be true, right? And yeah, So this is combative from his end. It could have been combative from hers as well. Maybe you could see it that way. And it could have been combative from him earlier when he was talking about what he was talking about. But this seems to be going in a potentially combative direction. Let's see what happens.
That I was not always, that I wasn't settling. And now the thing is I'm disrupting, but I'm settling.
Do you feel like you settle?
Yeah. You know, if I really get honest with myself, it might be this world where it's either or.
So he's, I think, saying, yeah, I feel like I settle when I come over. I think that's what he's saying. And he wouldn't know the difference because he's always been that way. He's never experienced, or maybe in the first year with Mary, he would have felt what it would feel like to just kind of settle into a routine with one spouse. But yeah, he wouldn't know what it feels like. All right, well, let's adjourn there. I want to do a shout out for YouTube members who have been members for the longest. We have Lauren, who's been a member for almost 2 years now, and your logo changes. So Lauren is full corn, and soon, Lauren, when you toggle over for 24 months, you'll have 2 corns. Hopefully, if everything works out. We got Rosie, we got good old Fema, we have Studerk, Allison, good old Stella, Annie, Brittany, MCK, Alehu, good old Alehu, Tessa, SRM, 808, Emily Rodriguez, Cami, Maria, Luciana, Mercury, Weekend Guru, My Grinning Cat, Liz, KJ Gaia, LB Brown, and I'll continue reading from this list at the end of the next episode because I'm just realizing that there's a lot of people who signed up in the first month. So, and all these people have been YouTube members for 20 months, and it's just really hard. You know, it's great when people can sign up even just for a month, but it's a whole other thing to sign up and stick with it for a long time. That's how I've been able to do this for so long. You know, I've been YouTubing and podcasting for almost 17 years. And since I transitioned to full-time podcaster and YouTuber about a few years ago, the only way I can do it is if people sign up and stay signed up or increase their sign-up tier level, that kind of thing. So I just wanted to give a thanks for that, and truly thanks. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.